Let's be real, summer skin needs a little extra love, and my simple barefaced routine does the job. Barefaced summer staples are a powerhouse trio that makes my routine so easy and effective. Liquid gold brightens and hydrates. Toning pads keep my skin smooth and clear, and of course, SPF 50 is non negotiable. Without it, your other skincare just can't do its job. As a bonus, every order comes with a full size clean slate spritz. It's a refreshing hypochlorous mist that I keep in my bag for on the go cleansing. If you want a simple, powerful routine that protects your skin all summer long, this is it. Place your order today to make sure you get your free clean slate spritz. Also, be sure to use the code MAMA15 for 15% off your first order at barefaced.com. You know that funky, yeasty smell that dogs can get in their ears? I thought it was just something that came along with being a dog owner until I found Coat Defense Daily Preventative Powder. I've been using this product for a long time now on our golden retriever Tucker to keep his coat fresh and clean, but recently I started brushing a little in and around his ears, and the difference has been amazing. The smell is gone, his ears are much less irritated, and the powder, it works like a dry shampoo, so it repels dirt, eliminates odor, and now I know it does a whole lot more. There is nothing like this product in stores, so try it out and see for yourself. Visit coatdefense.com and you can get 15% off with the code MAMA15. That's MOMMA 15. We are back with the third episode in this series with moms who lived very interesting lives before motherhood as child stars. And in this episode, we are going to bring back some sweet memories and no doubt encourage you as a mom. I am sitting down with the incredible Candace Cameron Bure. Yes, the beloved DJ Tanner from Full House. But we go far beyond the popular sitcom in this episode. Candace shares more about her journey as a child star, her mother's impact in raising two kids on hit television shows at the same time. You may remember her brother Kirk Cameron starred on Growing Pains. We talk about how Candace has always prioritized her values when given opportunities, and we get real about how motherhood both challenged and transformed her. This is a great conversation. I know you're going to love it. Let's jump in. So Candace, I was telling some of my girlfriends today about the interview that I had with you later this afternoon, and they were all just like, oh my goodness, I love her. And we kind of started talking about how just authentic and genuine that you are. And I just think that's a really special quality to you have been for
Thank
you to
you.
have been able to just, maintain and be so true to who you are and not have to put on really any pretenses.
Well, thanks for saying that. I very much appreciate it. And yeah, I try to live as authentically and openly in the public as I possibly can because it's
Yeah.
a whole lot easier to live that way than trying to act like you're something that you're not.
That's certainly a good way to put it. The other thing
hmm
I told my girlfriends, I said, I'm just worried I'm going to call her DJ though, because that's what I know her as. Has that ever actually like happened to you where when someone was in conversation actually used the name DJ instead of Candace?
Yes, I mean, many times over the years, people, even for the love of it, whether it's a mistake or not, like I get called DJ all the time. The most I actually get called that I get called that is unintentional is Cameron as a first name.
Yes.
So many people, they will say, "Hi, Cameron, how are you?" And I'm
Yeah.
like, well, that's my maiden name, but yeah, everyone calls me that. I've gotten used to that too.
When I was growing up, of course, my maiden name, and I still use it professionally, is Vickery. And so for some reason, people always called me Vicky, which I think is so interesting. Just
Yeah,
there's something
the
about that last
association.
name. Yeah. Yeah. One of the things I was thinking about, though, in my concern of calling you DJ, was the fact that I was thinking about how when Full House was so popular in the late 80s, early 90s, so I was in high school, probably at the height of it. But then there was this whole resurgence for me personally because my boys were so into it. Like we owned the DVD box set.
Wow.
But I was thinking about how it was just as enjoyable for my husband or I, or even the grandparents, to sit down with my boys when they were younger, and now they're around the age of your kids. There was something just really special about that show that it really did and does appeal to people of all ages. Why do you think that was?
It really is remarkable. It's never been off the air in over 40 years since it
Wow.
first aired, which is incredible. Very few shows have gone the distance in that way and in syndication. And I think it has resonated because it's timeless in that it's very human. It's heartfelt family. And all the little stories that we dealt with, all the conflicts that happened, although they were simple and in what felt like simpler times, they're still the same things that we deal with today, especially with young children. And at the heart of it, everyone wants to be in a loving family. Everyone wants to be in a family where you can talk through your problems and hug them out at the end. And even if that's not realistic for every family or every situation, it was a show that gave a lot of people hope. And it was a model for younger eyes, and still is, to view what a loving family really looks like. And so we hear stories all the time, even today, from people that have had very difficult family situations and that have watched the show because it just gave them hope of what family could be.
It's interesting that, God gave you the gift of being a part of that show, and that you would be able to inspire and provide hope in a way that as a young girl, you couldn't have even really imagined. But now with your perspective as someone who aims to provide that for people, I just think that's
pretty cool.
Kind of an interesting perspective. So this is called the Got It From My Momma podcast. And I do a lot of interviewing. Like typically I would have your mom on the podcast to talk about,
So cool. Will you have my mom on the podcast? Because I want to see her on the podcast.
I would love that. I would love to know more, but I wanted to tell you that just to encourage you, because in these next couple of questions I wanted to ask you, I really want your perspective of how she managed those early years with you and your brother in supporting and helping and hearing how it started. But man, she did a remarkable job of two people who influence in such a positive manner in what, had to be rather difficult as a mom in Hollywood, right? Like when I think about her role in making sure that good, healthy, wholesome decisions were made for you and your brother.
Yeah, for sure. And my brother is Kirk Cameron, for those who are listening or watching that. There's still a handful of people that are like, oh, I learned that today. How did I not know that? But, I have two really great parents. I know we're going to focus on my mom, but I would be remiss to say that my dad wasn't also a huge part of that, my parents together. But, my mom grew up in LA. And the funny thing about growing up in Los Angeles is that if you kind of want to get into acting, you can audition, you can get an agent and audition for commercials, or you can go play soccer, or you can take tap and ballet. It's like another extracurricular activity that you can do. And so that's kind of how we started on a whim. And we also have two other sisters. I'm the baby of four. And Melissa and Bridget are our sisters, and acting just wasn't in the cards for them. But it went well for me and my brother. And my parents, they didn't come from an entertainment background. My dad was a public school teacher for almost 40 years. And my mom was a stay-at-home mom at the time. And she ended up managing both me and my brother, because once we really started working right away. And this was like a whole new world for my mom. And she really did do a fantastic job of managing not just the schedules and the driving to auditions and then eventually work, because she had two kids on two hit television shows simultaneously. But she and my dad were very grounded in what was important and what was reality and what was Hollywood. And so I'm just so grateful. Like, my mom is one of my biggest heroes. I think she's a rock star because she managed to not only have two kids in entertainment, but also have two daughters that weren't, and had to make them support them in what they were doing, and to make sure that they weren't left out. Because at times my brother and I had big opportunities just to travel, to be on talk shows and game shows and meet famous people and celebrities. And as a young kid, that's exciting. And to my mom and my dad, that was exciting, and equally exciting to my sisters. And to be able to juggle that with four kids, and two that are really getting put into the spotlight.
Yes.
Is like a massive juggling act.
Do you think that she would tell me that was really challenging for her, and she had to be super intentional about making sure?
I do. Absolutely, she would say that. And I know that because anytime we had an opportunity, my mom would tell the show or the producers, we'd like to go, but we need 6 tickets so the whole family can go.
Mm.
We're not just going with Candace, or we're not just going with Kirk, but we need it to be a family event so that my two sisters wouldn't be left out. So, when there were fun opportunities like going to Disney World because we were going to be on something, my mom made sure that we were all included. She was very intentional with my sisters.
Yeah, I love that. What are some other things that you would say that she did that kind of helped you stay on the path of the values and the way that she had you and your siblings just, grounded in your faith and the things that mattered? Because you probably had, once yours and your brother's show were super successful, probably a lot more doors were opening, but they all weren't the right ones to walk through.
Yeah. Um, my mom's, her faith has always been important, but I would say it's in later years that all of us really came to faith and started walking with the Lord, and each in our own time. But both my parents and my mom provided such a stable ground of morality, and I would say that in our house, more than being taught that they were biblical, they would just live. They would call it living by the golden rule, treating people how you would want to be treated. My mom was also, a focal point for her was really putting other people's needs before ours also. So my mom did so much work with charity organizations in conjunction with our shows. So every single week during Full House, every week during Growing Pains, my mom had worked with organizations like Make-A-Wish Foundation, Starlight Foundation, other children's hospitals. And we would always bring families and children that were sick to come to the tapings. My mom, our house was like a revolving door growing up, in that my mom would then fall in love with these families and they would spend weekends at our house. They would go on trips with us. Like, it's a little unimaginable, but that is how our house was growing up.
Yeah.
And my mom always made that a priority, but then instilled those values in each of us. They've become so important, so much so that the work that I do with nonprofits and charities, I mean, it all stems from my mom and the importance that she placed on it.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Well, I love hearing more about her. And yes, when we get done here, we're going to get her booked because I think it would be thrilling just to hear about her. And I mean, she was such a big part of y'all's journeys. And didn't she end up managing some other people too? Like, she did such a good job with you guys.
She did. She eventually opened her own talent agency.
Wow. And had no background in entertainment
No
before.
background, but she probably managed me and my brother for about 10 years or 12 years before. And as she learned the ropes, and then she opened her own talent agency and had many, many clients for many years, and then became a grandmother and closed up shop so she could spend all her time being a grandma.
Yeah. Oh, I love that so much. So how many grandkids are there now between you and your three siblings?
17.
Oh my goodness. Wow. Wow. Okay, and so you are mom of three, right? Two boys, one daughter. And I've seen that the daughter has gotten into some of the acting and things as well. Is that something that you have encouraged her to do, or is it something that you bite your nails a little bit over?
No, so Natasha is an actress. She's been an actor for probably 12 or 13 years now. And no, I didn't fight it at all because I'm in entertainment. I've grown up in this industry, and even in the positions that I am now, as a producer, as a CEO of an entertainment company, as the CCO of a network, those are all things that I'm like, I know how to navigate this and I know how to help. So if you want to be an actor, like, I love it. What parent? I don't know. I don't know what parent doesn't want their children to follow in their footsteps in that sense. I mean, I love it. I take pride in the sense that I'm like, I love that she likes what I do. And even, my boys work for our family business with my husband. So we love that it's all in the family. But yeah, Natasha's had her own career and she works really hard at it, but I've always been there to help her navigate. And she asks me, but she has her own separate people, her own separate thing. And when she has questions, she asks and likes to have the advice. And she's doing a great job.
Hey friends, if you've listened to this podcast for a while, you know how much I love living in Williamson County, just south of Nashville. And I honestly can't say enough about how special Franklin, Tennessee is. Whether you're planning a girls' trip, a family reunion, or just need a weekend to slow down and reconnect, Franklin has something for everyone. Taking a walk down historic Main Street is like stepping into a postcard with one-of-a-kind local boutiques, art galleries, and some of the best coffee and live music spots around. If you're into history, you will love touring the Civil War sites and afterwards relax with a visit to a local winery or distillery. There's a feeling in Franklin that is hard to describe. It's warm, welcoming, and the kind of place where you can breathe a little deeper and have meaningful moments with the people you love. Start planning your visit at visitfranklin.com. You can download or order a free vacation guide right there. You mentioned the stepping into the role executive producer, helping to run portions. Can you tell me kind of about that big step that you've made? And then when you were acting early on, could you ever have seen yourself in more of the business role, kind of the corporate side of
Hmm.
things as well, which I think just shows kind of, I mean, you're a smart cookie, not just, an actress and a pretty face, but also
Thanks.
so smart on the business side of what it takes to do what you're doing.
I don't know that I would have realized that as a kid. I just knew that I was very inquisitive. So even though while I was acting, particularly on Full House, and I was always looking at everyone's job. I wanted to know how the camera operator worked. I wanted to know what the director was doing. I wanted to know what the camera coordinator was doing. I'm looking at wardrobe and hair and makeup and the writers. What are they writing? What is changing? And so as a curious person, I was just always asking, can I sit in on this? Can I watch you do that? And it gave me a scope and of the land and the layout. And so as I got older and I took a 10-year break to stay home and raise my kids. And then I came back into acting in my 30s. And when I came back, I had a very different lens as to what I wanted to do. And while I love being an actor, that wasn't enough for me. And so the producing side, the directing side, and I know a lot of people don't know the difference. What's the difference between a producer and a director? But those were all very, very interesting to me. And I like to say a producer is kind of like, I like sports analogies because my husband is a hockey player in the NHL, but a lot of people, you watch football, baseball, whatever. And a producer is kind of like the president of your team. They absolutely oversee everything. They're the ones that are going to end up, they hire the coach, they hire the players, like they're overseeing it. And then, so they put all the puzzle pieces together. And that's very much what executive producing is. You're forming your teams. And then the director is like the head coach. So they're the one that's on the ground, on the field, calling the plays, talking to the players directly. That's what your director does.
That is
So
a great analogy, actually. Yeah, that's really good. I get the sports part.
good. I'm glad it helps. So I realized very quickly that I like putting the puzzle pieces together. I loved playing Tetris as a little kid. That was my favorite game on Nintendo, and that's what producing is like. And so, yeah, when I kind of came back into the industry, I just thought there's so many more aspects to this job that I absolutely love, and I love learning. And so when I started doing a lot of Hallmark movies, I was acting in them, being hired as an actor, but I think 10 movies in, I was like, I want to help produce these because I've seen things that I think could be better, where we could improve.
Because you'd also be involved in the casting, for example, too, right? People might be interested to know
Hmm.
that, like all aspects and details.
Everything. I mean, to the point now that my company, Candy Rock Entertainment, I mean, I've produced the last 13 movies that have been out. Like my company has produced them, but I've executive produced, over 30 movies in my career so far.
That's
And so I do it from the ground up as in thinking of the ideas, working with writers, fleshing out an idea, down to hiring our crew and then going into post production and looking at every aspect of the film, the sound, the music, the lighting, the mix, all of it. But I love it. I love it.
I think when you know that about you, it makes you watch your movies with a different eye too, to think,
Mm,
wow, she really was involved in every detail of the movies that you're producing behind too. I think that's really
yeah.
neat. Think of the kind of
Yeah.
the multi layers of that as well. You mentioned a minute ago that 10-year break that you took. And I hear from a lot of moms who really worry when they take a step back from
Yeah.
a career and going back into it. And I just kind of wanted you to share your heart a little bit on, that's a big decision for a mom to make. And did you have those same fears yourself of what it would be like, particularly in the public eye, but to step back in?
I had all of the fears, all of the doubts, especially being a child working from 5 years old to 20 years old, and then saying at 20, oh, I'm going to take a break, when that's typically the age that someone is starting their
Just
career.
getting going,
They're
yeah, yeah.
just getting
When you had
going.
your first baby, were you 20?
I was 22.
Oh,
I got
wow.
I got married at 20.
Okay.
That was also on the brink of, I finished Full House at 18 years old. So by 21, 22, I was becoming an adult. And there's this thing in the industry, and you see a lot of child actors transition into adults, and it can be, sometimes it just doesn't go well because they're trying to prove themselves as an adult, and it can become a very difficult transition. But coming off of a successful show, everyone would told me, don't quit now. You are on a roll from Full House. If you quit now, no one's going to remember you. If you take this big long break because you ended as a kid, they're not going to care about you as an adult, let alone taking this really big break. And so I thought I was going to do it all. I'm like, great, we're going to have our daughter, but I'm going to keep working. And it didn't take but 2 months into giving birth that I went on a couple of auditions, and I thought, what am I doing? I don't want to be here. I want to be home with my baby. I want to put my baby to bed. I want to breastfeed. I want to do all the things. And that's not to say that you can't do those things, but at the time I could not manage both of those things.
Right.
And so I knew in my heart I had to pick one or the other. And so I picked my kids. I picked being a mom, but I had so much fear and doubt, and the transition of kind of relinquishing the control of being known as an actor to now being known as a mom. I mean, I'll be completely honest, it felt like a downgrade. As much as I wanted to be a mom, but it like didn't hold the title of like, oh, celebrity actor. Like, I hate saying that. I hate those words coming out of my mouth. I know better now, but these were the feelings that I was having at 22 years old. And so it was a difficult transition. I was so happy to be home, but it took me probably 2 to 3 years to really just come to a place of surrender to motherhood and surrender to what God would have for me in that season of life.
Yeah.
And I look back now and I'm like, those 10 years were the biggest growth years of my life. And they have been amazing and changed me and molded me into the woman I am today.
Right.
I just couldn't see it in the moment.
Yeah. Again, that gift of perspective, that you and I had a very similar situation. I was a news anchor and just, had that first baby and thought, oh, I'll take my normal maternity leave, visited all the daycares, chose one. We were living in a state where we didn't have any family around us at the time. And I can remember about 6 weeks into maternity leave, and I was getting really nervous. I'm like, I cannot leave this baby. But I had, what some would consider a pretty cool, glamorous job of, what I was doing. But I can remember the news director calling and said, we're not rushing you. We just need to get the date on the calendar for scheduling purposes because we have somebody filling in for you. And I just lost it, broke down into tears. And I knew I was making the right decision to be home with my baby. And we were blessed that I could do that because you and I both understand that some people do not have that choice.
Absolutely.
But again, it just took a little bit of time. And I love how you put it, that you were surrendering to the role of mother, which is the best and most important role that we've ever had and blessed to have. But it's still, I loved your, just honesty in that it was difficult, but it was the right thing for you.
Yeah.
Do you think in a way that it might have even helped you to separate a little bit from being DJ Tanner? Because then when you step back.
Totally.
Yeah.
But yes, 100%. I stepped back 10 years later. Honestly, I don't think I changed that much. I still had like my cheeks and all the things, but yeah, I think it was a long enough period of time. And during that time when I was at home, my relationship with God really, really grew as a woman of faith. And I had many conversations with God, and I was so surrendered into what he had for me in each season, but also prayed that I said, God, you know my heart, and you know that I would love to work again one day. And if that's in the cards, whenever that timing is, open those doors. And if it's not, close it. And just I don't even want the desire.
Yeah, take away the
Take
desire
away
to.
the desire.
Yes.
Exactly. And the thing was, when my husband had retired from professional hockey and was home for, after a year, I was like, can I try going back to acting? What do you think about that? And my husband was all in, and he said, of course. And when I started praying about it, and I called because I didn't have an agent anymore, but I had friends that were managers, and I said, can you just throw my name out there and see what happens if anyone's interested in even auditioning me? And man, right away, I got an audition and another audition, another audition. And after, probably a couple of weeks of that, I had booked my first Hallmark movie. I had been asked to do another show that I had turned down, but it was like God just like threw the doors open.
He made it so
It
evident
was
that,
so evident.
yeah, yeah. And that's
That
my favorite way that he responds, when he makes it
I know,
evident, right?
I know.
Oh my goodness. And that was that the first thing back, was a Hallmark movie? Okay. And then how many did you go on to do with Hallmark?
I did 30 movies with Hallmark.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
And now I think we're at 12 or 13 with Great American Family.
Okay. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That's exciting. How many, or would you say, are kind of in the works right now? Like, what can we look forward to?
Well, I have 3 new movies that are coming up. I've actually shot 3 movies since January, just at the start of this year.
My goodness.
It's been a wild start of 2025, but
Yeah.
very grateful for the work. So I have a mystery series called the Ainsley McGregor Mysteries, which you can watch anytime streaming on Great American Pure Flick. And it's also reruns on Great American Family Channel. But there is a third one coming out. I'm not sure when the date is, but there's 2 that are up on PureFlix right now. And then I have 2 new Christmas movies that will be out later this year. And
Yes.
yeah, one of them co-stars Cameron Matheson, the other co-stars Paul Green, and my daughter Natasha, which is a really special story. But I'm always doing Christmas movies every year, and happy that I have 2 new ones this year.
That's awesome. And Natasha will be in one of those with you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does she happen to play your daughter?
She doesn't. She doesn't ever want to play my daughter, which I completely understand because she has her own career. But I
Yes.
was really waiting for a special story. And this is a really fun movie. It's called Timeless Tidings of Joy. And it's a time travel movie, because who doesn't love a time travel Christmas movie? And we go back to 1945. And Natasha is playing my grandmother in her in 1945. So I travel back and get to see what really formed my grandmother and the way that she is today and her faith in God. And it's like a really special movie. So there's all this wisdom within this relationship. And so you see a little, present day, and then the majority of the movies in 1945.
I had asked you, as you were talking, I was thinking about, I bet that 10 years did help you separate a little bit from who, DJ Tanner was.
Mhm.
I had interviewed Danica McKellar not too long
Yeah.
ago. Yeah. And, she was very honest about the Winnie Cooper role was very hard for her identity wise to kind of break from and be in other roles. I mean, she obviously figured it out. She's done so well. But I did love hearing her story, her side of the story of the role that you've played in her faith. And I think it's really incredible. But one of my main takeaways from that, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but boy, it sure did sound like it was pretty simple. And I think that's what I want to inspire people with. You truly invited your friend to come to something, and then you truly just mailed her a Bible because you wanted her to read the word. And I think that that was my takeaway. And what I want to encourage other people and other women is we
Mm-hmm.
hear so much about, sharing our testimony and bringing other people to the Lord and to know their faith. But that interaction between you and Danica kind of sends a different message to me. Will you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, what you said in that it was so simple. I wish that all evangelism would be that simple and people would come to faith in that way. I am really public on my social media. I love sharing about God. I love talking about reading the Bible and encouraging people to do that. And, Danica and I have been friends for a really long time. I mean, we did a movie together when we were both 12 or 13 years old.
You did? I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah, it was called Camp Cucamonga. It's one for the books. It's like every child star back in that day was in it.
It was all in the movie. I'll have to look that one up.
It's cute, pretty funny. So we've known each other a really long time. And truly, she had just been watching my socials. And a couple of times on my socials, she would message me a question personally saying, I saw that you said this. I don't understand it. And so, in the simplest form, I answered a couple of questions as simply as I could, not to get like super theological in it. And then I left it alone. I didn't go back. I didn't follow up because I also know that when someone's asking and inquiring, if they're inquisitive, they'll come back to ask another question, and I don't need to like shove it in their face. That's what I did with my husband for many, many years. And I learned from him that like, I don't need to keep pushing and pushing and pushing, but to be available, be a good listener, and answer the question that's asked, and then kind of zip it. So that was my approach with her. I just answered her question, and a couple months went by. Of course, I pray for all my friends too, so I've been praying for her, and just that the questions would mean something, the answers would mean something, that she would seek more questions. And one day she wrote me another question, and I answered it, and that was about it. And more time went by. And then I invited her to church, and it was like the easiest weekend to invite because it was a play called The Passion Play. And yet it's the story of Jesus. It's the gospel message in its fullest form, but great music. And my church puts on this play every year, and it's like Broadway fantastic. I mean, they're wonderful and incredible performers. So I knew it was going to be great. And I just said, I'd love to invite you to this Easter service. And that was kind of it. I mean, I had sent her a Bible along the way, but she shares it. And I wasn't expecting her to fall in love with the Lord after that play. I just wanted like just another little deposit, another seed, little seed planted. That's all I was hoping for. And yet it changed her life. It was like God revealed himself to her in that way. And I don't feel like I did a lot, except that I was just obedient to being a friend and obedient to sharing the message,
Yeah, yeah. So I also want to know about your devotion book. I know that you just put a new version of it out, right?
Yes.
You have
I
it?
have it right here. 100 Days of Joy and Strength. I didn't even realize it matches my
Yeah, we
my
have a lot of
shirt
color
too.
now. Super cute.
You do
Do
look cute.
so you had published this one previously, right?
It was published previously, and we did a redesign of it, and we reformatted. And even for how long ago we had published it, there's just so many new people that are seeking their faith and haven't read it. And so now with Zondervan, we did a re-release on this updated edition. And I love it. It's simple. It's very bite-sized. It's every day. I share a personal story that I hope is very relatable, along with scripture that goes along with that story, and then a little prayer. And so my hope in this devotional is that it would accompany your Bible time, or it would be an accompaniment for you at some point in the day. If you are sitting in the carpool line, and you just want to be reminded that God is with you, God is near you, God deeply loves you. That's what this devotional is for, just to spend a few minutes and be reminded of his goodness. Because I know that life can get overwhelming, and sometimes we feel alone, and yet God is our source of joy and strength. That's from Nehemiah 8:10. It says, do not grieve, for the joy of the Lord is your strength. And when we know where that source comes from, it's a whole lot easier to take the next step.
It just reminds me of all the different platforms that the Lord has given you since, kind of your mom allowing you to go to audition as a kid. And then now, I mean, when you think about it, as an actor, a producer, a CEO, a speaker, an author, a podcast host, like all of those things, when you look at, I guess we could call it your resume at this point,
Mm-hmm.
what have the challenges been? Like, where do you feel like you've been the most obedient in going through the door that the Lord's opened for you of all these different
Mm.
platforms. And there's probably more to come. I'm sure there is.
I hope there's more to come. I mean, I really go back to the why and all the things that I do. There has to be a why. You know, my, I know that my purpose in life, all of our purpose as believers, our purpose is to glorify God in all we do. That's it. It's really simple. Glorify God in all we do. And then the Lord simply gives us different desires, different talents. We get to glorify Him in all different ways.
Right.
So whether you work in the church or you work in entertainment, I mean, if you are part of the body of Christ, we know what our purpose is. There's always challenges along the way, even the ones where the doors open and I'm like, oh, this is my sweet spot. This is where, especially in like films, like I ride that wave well, but there's always going to be challenges. There have been doors that have opened that I have been so surprised about. I'm like, really, Lord? And I would say writing devotionals is probably one of them because I wouldn't consider myself a great writer. I will say though, 100% that I have people that help me with that writing and the editing and all of that. But like, all of the words, everything is from me and the thoughts are from me, but there are people that can construct a sentence a whole lot better than I can.
Absolutely.
But I think that that is a really surprising one for me. And even being a podcast host, that wasn't even on my list. And for so many years, it was something that I kept being asked to have a show. And again, as I was talking about earlier about purpose and the why, it was really, well, what's the why? Why would I do a podcast? And what would be the purpose of my podcast? Because it needs to make a difference or have an impact in someone's life. Those really are my whys. So every film I make, every book that I write, every podcast episode, I want to point people one step closer to Jesus. I want to point them to knowing God. And, you know, you might think like, oh, well, a Christmas movie isn't really pointing someone, or let's not use Christmas as an example, because obviously Jesus is the reason for the season. But let's say a mystery movie. Well, how does a mystery movie that doesn't involve faith point people to God? Well, I could say one, if anyone's going to just look me up because they saw me in something, it's going to become very apparent that I am a woman of faith, and they're going to learn that. But there's also so much ministry that goes on in the set. So maybe the script doesn't have faith elements, but you better believe I'm representing Christ in all that I do and all the people that I work with, and sharing that love and sharing the gospel and being the best representative or ambassador for God that I can be. And so ministry is taking place amongst every single one of us every single day. Doesn't matter where you are.
Absolutely. And I think even in, providing wholesome options for families to gather around a television and watch, that's a ministry in itself.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily have to be planting the seed of a relationship with the Lord, but giving families an option for wholesome television in this day and age, that's a gift in itself. For sure. This isn't where I was headed, but when I was thinking about challenges and platforms and walking through doors, I mean, I think we'd have to mention The Masked Singer, right?
Sure.
Oh my goodness. Good for you, though. I mean, wow. And I so related when you were sharing about how that unnerved you in a way. I mean, as much as you've been in the public eye, as many things that you've done, probably spoken in front of thousands and thousands of people, things that might make other people nervous. But I got that. That had to be something where I'm like, okay, you go, girl. I could not do that.
I was so scared out of my mind. So scared.
Are you glad you did it?
I'm very glad I did it. Yeah, I am the kind of person, sorry, I have a little fly that's just wants to hang out with me. I am the kind of person that if something scares me a lot and it keeps coming back, that I have to eventually conquer the fear. I feel like there's a reason it keeps coming back. And so The Masked Singer was one of them. They asked me to do the show 4 times until I said yes.
Wow. And
it scared me way more than Dancing with the Stars. That was the other competition reality show I was on.
Yep.
You know, I'm not a very good singer, and to sing publicly is like frightening. Like nobody even wants to hear me sing Christmas carols with the, going caroling. So anyway, I'm really glad that I did it though. I love looking back on the show. I wish I could have enjoyed the moment a little bit more, but I was like a nervous wreck, and my sweet husband was there by my side every step of the way, calming me down. And I don't think he's ever seen me like that. And he's like, "Why did you say yes? Why are you doing this? You are so freaked out. Like, you don't have to do this." And I'm like, "I know, but now I have to conquer this fear."
It was like when the was it cherry blossom that the whole head came off or whatever. You were the cutest thing ever, and just your reaction was you could just see the relief of like, this is so almost done.
I was so happy to take that mask off. The interesting thing on that show is when you listen to a lot of past contestants, most of them love that the mask is on because they're hidden. So they feel more free to just go out there and perform. They don't feel like they're judged because really you can't see out of that mask. You can see a couple of feet in front of you, and that's about it. But I'll tell you, I am not a, I'm, it felt so dark to me. And like, I want to be in the light in every aspect and every sense of that. Like, I always want to be in the presence of the light. So when I took that mask off, I was like, praise the Lord. Thank you so much. I was like, I never want to put that thing on again. And I felt so much freer. And even singing to the audience at the very end without the mask was so much more fun for me.
So okay, so even when you sang with the mask off, that felt better to you.
It
Then
did.
okay, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, that's so
it did.
interesting. Yeah,
Yeah.
I love it. Well, good to you. Good for you. I just want to wrap up with kind of talking about the stage of life where we are now. Are you officially an empty nester, or is your youngest still at
My
home?
youngest is still at home. He was away for a while, so we've
Okay.
had moments of empty nest, but he's still home. Yeah,
Okay. Okay. So
happily
you
home.
do you kind of feel like you're in that stage though? I mean, still there's a level
I
of
do.
independence and just kind of want to end on I feel like we spoke to young moms in
Hmm.
kind of what that's like and making that decision to stay home with your babies. And then you get to this point where, I think we're relying on our faith in a whole different way as
We
moms
are.
with adult
We
children.
are. I have to say, I love this stage of life in the sense that, well, I'm very blessed because my kids are near and our kids like hanging out with us. I'm
That's
like,
really a main goal, isn't it, in this whole
That's
parenting
that's
journey?
the goal. That's the goal. All that intentional time when they're young, you pour into them because you're developing that relationship with them so that when they're adults and their brain is fully formed, they can look back and go like, "Oh, yeah, my mom and dad were right about that," or "They are kind of cool," or "I do want to hang out with them. I appreciate them." Like whatever that is. So I love this stage of life. When we were officially empty nesting though, like, I will tell you, it was really sad. It was sad to go from a very robust, loud house with dirty laundry and dishes and things everywhere because there's lots of people and noise, to then being really quiet and going like, looking at my husband going, it's just you and me. And that can go one of two ways. You can, like, it could be very daunting of like, oh, do we still have things to talk about? Because life has been about the kids. So do we still have things in common? Uh, and that can be a scary place. And we've certainly had our moments through that. And, or you could be like, we're finally alone. Don't need to lock the bedroom door, like, this is great. And so it, it was a weird feeling at first, honestly, to be in that empty nest. It does feel shockingly lonely at the beginning, but again, I'm grateful that our kids are very near us and we spend so much time with them, and our two sons work for our family business. So we literally see them every day for work,
I
which
love
is
that.
like a mom and dad's dream. We love it. And then, we're still going and having dinner together on the weekend. So it's just, I love this stage of life, but I give so much credit to, I mean, I'm not patting myself on the back, but my husband, especially, of just that we were intentional parents. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it doesn't always work out that way, no matter how hard you try, but being present in those younger years and really listening and being there for the conversations and not taking it personally when they're teenagers and they get mad at you and they hate you and they tell you to your face how horrible you are and how much they hate you. But you keep just providing the love and providing the boundaries that are good boundaries for them to have. There comes a day when they respect it, and it's glorious.
Yeah, you really do, end up reaping the reward of that hard work that you put in. And I
Mm-hmm.
love the word intentionality, because I think that that is the difference maker, when it
Mm-hmm.
comes to kids who are adult kids, young adults that do want to be with mom and dad, and they do kind of finally get, the value of that stability that you've been able to provide for them. Well, it's been so fun to talk to you. I really
Thank
appreciate your
you.
time and just your heart for what you do and your passion for what you do. I think it's very evident, and I love seeing how God uses you, and I can't wait to see what he's going to do next with you and all of your many, many talents.
Well, thank you so much. It was so much fun to chat with you and
Thank you.
talk, and I hope this is edifying to those who are listening.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.